Hello, this is your host, Mikey Rupert. Thanks a ton for listening. Doug and I really appreciate you spending the time with us. Today on the program, we talk about the great weekend that was in the NCAA, Northwestern football players unionizing and what it will mean to the future of college athletics. And of course, opening day in Major League Baseball with Miguel Cabrera's new contract and with my picks for the year.
You got a favorite Laker?
I love Kobe Bryant because I want him to have sex with me. Woo!
It's gone! Oh my God!
Well, you always give me a hard time. You don't never give me the credit I really deserve.
You good at commentating, so stick to commentate. Let me do the fight.
Here we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cooper and Rupert podcast. I am here with Doug Cooper. It is 8:26 a.m. This is the earliest podcast to date, Doug.
Yeah. I thought this might be better, like I might be more coherent, but I don't know if this is a plus or a minus.
See, I don't know how you feel about this, but I actually like doing it now, I think, better than Sunday night.
Yeah. I feel more hopeful.
I think so, too, because we got the sun in here. Usually it's dark and abysmal because my studio apartment doesn't have an overhead light.
Yeah.
It only runs on lamps, so we do this every night, and it can be tough to muster up that energy to talk about sports when you're in a dreary, dark, depressing, lamp-lit room. But here today, we have natural sunlight coming through. The birds were chirping. I went and got milk at the 7-Eleven today.
That sounds beautiful.
I know. I was so excited, actually, today. I was reading Buster Only tweets at 4 a.m. again because today is opening day, and I'm not going to let your negativity ruin the podcast.
Okay.
Not today.
I won't do it today. I think, Sunday usually feels like a wind-down day, so maybe starting it on Monday morning, I don't know. There's something to it.
I think it's good. Sunday night works, but I agree. Monday morning, I've got a little bit more of that extra, because now we almost feel like we're at a real morning show.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that we're not in a studio.
And we're not a legitimate show.
Yeah, we're not, we're not on the air.
Yeah.
We're live, but nonetheless, I was able to listen to radio, and people have actually done work on the internet.
Yeah.
Everyone's back to work, so we can get everyone's there, and we're a part of it. We're contributing to society here on this Monday morning in Los Angeles, California.
We're part of the noise.
Today, of course, we've got the NCAA stuff, and then the Northwestern Jazz, and it's opening day, which I've got so much to say about later on in the show.
All right.
Got all my Royals stuff on today. Did you notice?
Yeah, you look very official.
Dude, I'm so
Are you
ready.
playing today?
Yeah, they're actually going to put me in.
They're flying you out?
Yeah, they're flying me out. They're calling me right out of the bullpen.
All right, good.
Yeah, that game's going on in an hour and a half.
Exciting.
First pitch.
Who are they playing?
Tigers.
Okay.
Yeah, but first things first, we're going to talk about this basketball situation that happened over the weekend. The Final Four is now set. Your brackets are all busted. and what do you think about that, Doug? What do you think about those games this weekend, man?
The first obvious thing is just that this is so impossible to ever foresee this happening. Like the Final Four that we have is just, it's not super far off, I guess, in some ways. I think some people have Wisconsin, Florida. That seems to be pretty common, but UConn, just no.
UConn's a little out of the blue, but when I go back to Kentucky, I had this whole thing. This happens a lot now. I have this point that I want to make where I say, all the teams that are there are the teams that recruit the best.
Yeah.
So I go to www.recruitstuff.com, and then I get all this information, and then when I go look up to see all those those players, and I only found out that Kentucky is the only one of the 2013 class that had a top 100 recruit that actually contributed at a significant level.
Yeah.
But, of course, theirs is all 5 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the point that I had that all of them recruit is not necessarily the case, because Kentucky is really the only one using those fresh 2013 recruits to their own advantage. Now they do have 5 freshmen who are awesome, and they're all in the top 10. They have the number one power forward, Julius Randle, the number 1 point guard, Andrew Harrison, the number 2 center, the number 3 shooting forward, James Young, and the number 1 shooting guard. I mean, their starting 5 is
an all-star team. a college all-star team.
They're all the best at their position except for these other two, who is number 2 and number 3 at their position.
Yeah.
No wonder they're in the Final Four.
Well, the thing is, though, I think you after the Final Four set, you
Their 6th guy is number 9.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're 6 men.
He got off
Okay.
the bench, a little weak.
Yeah. I think you kind of go through the Final Four once it's set, and you try to like look for some sort of pattern or like come up with some sort of rhyme or reason to why it's happened. But I mean, there's just really no I heard some people saying like, oh, because of and especially in that article we're going to talk about later with the refs, like that because of the way the games are being called, like defenses are doing better. But then you look at a team like Kentucky, they don't really play that good a defense. Neither does UConn. So I just feel like there's no algorithm that you're going to figure out that's going to give you some sort of clear picture as to why it happened this way. I don't think.
You've got to think that maybe it's the fact that the talent isn't that far separate.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty well evened out, and it's not that surprising. And I don't think people really bellyache about seeds that much.
No.
I don't think that's a thing. But it definitely shouldn't be, because we always talk about how the tournament lets it play themselves out. And as we can see, we've got a 7 and 8, and a 1 and a 2, which is, that's a little bit more normal. But, a 7 and an 8 both in the tournament, or both in the Final Four, just kind of goes to show you that, it wasn't just like a bunch of upsets where they just started making threes. I mean, the 8 seed is an all-star team.
Yeah.
All right?
And the thing is, once you can also tell a lot about what's going to happen sometimes once the games start being played. Like I feel like in almost every tournament game, within the first 10 minutes, you can almost tell what's going to happen a lot of times. But like like we talked about it last week, once we watched them play a couple games, we're like, don't be surprised if this is exactly what happens if they make it to the Final Four, which they have. So I mean, it's just not that shocking that, I mean, even though they were an 8 seed, they're just, it's not that surprising to me that they've made it this far. UConn is a little bit more surprising, but they have an elite level player. Shabazz Napier is really, really good at basketball, and he, is channeling some of that Kemba Walker mojo, and just kind of putting the team on his shoulders and taking him there by himself. So I mean, I don't know.
I completely agree with you. It's you can't hardly tell what's going on, other than maybe just that the talents the talent level is more even maybe now than we've ever seen it.
Yeah, I don't think you're not gonna like crack some sort of Da Vinci Code on this and like be like, oh, I see, this is why all these teams made it, and this is the exact reason why. It's just like that's not gonna.
That's why it's March Madness.
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking at the brackets just a minute ago, and of course we're all screwed.
Yeah.
There's really nothing much left here for us to talk about, other than that I am going to win. Now we us three, or when I say us three, I mean you, me, and Walter. All have Florida in, and we all had the chance. Well, I take that back. I had the chance of having the Final Four completely right, and I got 3 of the 4 wrong.
Okay,
but I did get Florida in, but because I'm leading you, and we both have Florida winning it, there's really no way that you can't pass me. So I will win this thing, right? And then Walter will get 3rd, and Karen. Man, was that a rough weekend? Oh man,
it started out so good. I mean, she was winning.
No, it did. I think the first round, I think she was leading after the first day, or the first round.
She went 13-3 the first day.
Yeah, no, killed it. Like, really was doing good. And then just kind of, she really went ballsy there with she had SF Austin going to the Elite 8.
Yeah.
And she had Syracuse, Villanova, Wichita State, and Arizona in her Final Four.
She did really great the first day, and then it almost seemed like she had never watched college basketball before.
Yeah, and then reality set in.
Yeah,
she had a really good first weekend, but it's not like, this isn't even that far off. I could have just as easily seen this bracket happen as anything.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the thing about this whole tournament.
The reality is if that had happened, which, let's be honest, that had about as good a chance of happening as what we picked happening, realistically. I mean, it's that random almost. Then she would have definitely won, because she's the only person who has a bracket like that.
Now, of the 2, I watched 2 of the 4. Well, I mean, 2.5 of the 4 games.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the 1.5 that I didn't see was by far the best. I missed the Wisconsin-Arizona game. I was at work. I missed it.
Okay.
And then I only saw the first half of the Michigan-Kentucky game.
Okay.
Again, because of work-related reasons. And well, I saw that, and then I saw the last 2.5 seconds. Like after they had made the shot, then I came in. Whoa, what? What happened? Oh, what? And then I was disappointed. And I'm gonna sidetrack here from my point right now. Why did Michigan, when they threw the ball in with 2.5 seconds left, they had one timeout. Why didn't they inbound it past half court and then call a timeout and set up a half court offense for one final three? Why did they just dribble once and then just throw it up in the air? Not that they would have won the game, but that was very puzzling to me.
I know. You think you could set something up, or at least try to do like,
because there was a dead ball before that inbounds.
Yeah, or at least try to do some sort of like Christian Laettner-y type play where you have something kind of drawn up, or like, you know, a lot of teams I've seen them run those plays where they throw it to one guy and then that guy throws it, you know, basically in midair to somebody like streaking on the side, you know, the sidelines or something. I mean, I don't know, just like something better.
Yeah, I didn't get that. But the games that I missed were the great ones. And in one of the games, the Arizona game, did you watch that game?
I did, yeah.
Thank God. Fill me in exactly what happened with that final, those like the final moments of that game in regulation and in overtime.
Well, I mean, are you talking about just the call in general?
Well, the calls and I know that it was close, and I know that there was a couple controversial calls there at the end.
Yeah. Well, in overtime, basically the big hullabaloo, or whatever, I shouldn't use that word. I can't believe now. The fuss.
You said it.
I know. Can I take that back? I'll edit that out. I'll bleep it and make it seem like I cussed or something. Everyone was upset about this Nick Johnson call at the end, which is a really, really tough call. And I guess while it was a foul, technically, he did push off with his arm, and that is against the rules. You know, I think people were upset because it was such a physical game up to that point. And so that just, in the moment, that did seem like a really, really rough call. So that happened. Nick Johnson came down. He had a shot to win it. It was 64-63, I'm pretty sure. He had a shot to win it. He gets called for this arm push-off foul. Okay. And then Wisconsin inbounds the ball. Arizona's running a press. They somehow manage to... I can't remember the Arizona player, but he tipped it off. It went off his fingertips and barely off the fingertips of another Wisconsin player. So they're looking at this over and over and over again for like 20 minutes, basically, while everyone's standing around going just about to riot. Like Arizona fans looked like they were going to start like throwing chairs.
Well, of course they did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they actually did. But like in the stadium, like this call happened right after the push off. So they're just like, this fervor is building. Like people are just so like, they have time to get really worked up about that last call while this other one happens. But somehow Arizona gets the ball back. So I think they felt like a little like, oh, okay, we're going to get some level of redemption here. But then Nick Johnson didn't even get a shot off. He dribbled and he shot it after the shot clock was over, which was also another play where it's like they had like 10 minutes to draw something up. And then, you know, they only had like 2.3 seconds on the clock, but like all they did is just give it to Nick Johnson. He like dribbled to his offhand. He went left and then tried to shoot a fadeaway with his right hand, and he didn't even get it off in time. And you're just like, oh, that was pretty anticlimactic.
Well, because there was an interesting article from Matt Hayes of Sporting News basically talking about why refs are ruining college basketball. Now, I hate talking about refs because I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that they are why you lose. I think they're a scapegoat for losers.
Yeah.
Which I try to avoid, but sometimes it is tough. But that game sounds intense and awesome. But he was acting like that because of the refereeing, the game ended up being terrible to watch, which I completely disagree with. Now, I take this article as what would be a mass decision, like what everyone would think is the case. But I don't know if I would believe... If most people think that way, I guess I would disagree with most people and say that I really don't have a problem with refs for the most part. That doesn't distract me from good basketball.
Well, I think people mistake the sloppiness of college basketball. They want to give it a reason, and they like his reasoning was a little skewed because in the NBA, okay, if you let people play in the NBA, it actually looks better. I prefer when the refs let them play in the NBA. because those guys are more polished. They can handle the physicality a little bit more, and the game flows better. It's just more up and down, and like it's just better to watch. Here, he's making an argument that them letting him play causes the game to be really stagnant, and like because of the hand checking and the fouling, it slows the game down, and it's not as good to watch. I think that's just the choppiness of college basketball. I think if you called little knick-knack hand check fouls, you just get into a free throw shooting contest, and it would get really horrible to watch. So I don't think the alternative...
See, I guess that's what I feel like it is now anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the alternative of calling every little thing is going to be better than, whatever they're doing now.
And he also acted in this article, he acts like every single call is so easy. Like, how did they miss that one?
Yeah.
And a lot of these things, are charges and blocks, and then you got to take these replays with 10 seconds to see what finger it went off of to go out of bounds. I mean, it seems logical to review a lot of these plays. It doesn't seem like they're doing that poor of a job. So I guess if the consensus is, if what we took away from this weekend was how bad the refs are, I think as fans we're way off.
Well, and to be fair, in his article, I think the thing he was most upset about, and I kind of just said this earlier, but like, if you're going to call a game, if you're going to let him play, then a push-off when a guy's going to the basket for the last shot of the game is a tough call. That's a pretty tough call. I mean, you want consistency, but then again, to be technical, it is a foul, to be exact. So, I mean, it's just like, nothing's going to be perfect. I mean, it's like... I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I think it's kind of a scapegoat.
It's I guess it is what it is, and that's always going to be there. As long as the black and white are part of the game, people are just going to get pissed about it.
I do have an idea though that I think would help in NBA and college.
Okay, bring it on.
I think
we need help.
I think it's weird. I think refs should have to do a post-game press conference. They should have to come out and at least explain what they were doing, because it's weird. It's weird that like players have to come out. They're kids. Like they're on the NBA level. This is different, but like these college kids have to come out and explain like why they screwed something up.
So brutal.
Yeah, but I mean, if they have to, then I think the ref should have to come out and be like, hey, this is what I was thinking on this call, and this is why I did it, and this is the reasons, and blah blah blah.
Unfortunately, that all sounds nice and nice and quaint. It'd be a nice little conversation with the ref, and he's going to go in and he's going to say, "Oh, I called that call because I thought this." Oh, and then the media goes, "Oh, okay, that's great. Thanks for clearing that up for us." They're going to say, "No, but why didn't you do that?" It's going to be just a yelling, uncomfortable situation, and I almost don't want to see it.
But wouldn't that be great? And then you could also kind of learn like certain refs would have personalities.
It would turn more on the ref. I think the game, it would then become more about the refs. I think a whole different situation opens when everyone would start talking about referees, and then those post-game conferences would be in every controversial call. They'd have their post-game conference. And what are they going to do? And what if they are wrong? What if they did miss it after closely examining a replay? We can tell when, ESPN super zooms in on the hand that guy did touch it left, and during the live call, he missed it. And then now it becomes this whole thing, and I think that would actually be pretty detrimental. Now, at the same time, sometimes I would like to watch him squirm, especially when the calls don't go my way.
Yeah.
But I think it would be bad.
Well, it would kind of...
because the media would just eat them alive. Like, they wouldn't be nice about it like they are with the coaches.
They would give their explanation. They'd be like, "Oh, that's great. Now we're going to kill you." Like, now we're going to pull you down from the stand and beat you. Like, I do think it would ruin a little bit of the facade of the game, but it would be interesting. I mean, I wonder if that would affect... Although that could end up being a situation where that affects what they're calling even more, and they don't call anything because they're like, "Oh, God, I don't want to have to explain this after the game. Like, I don't have to go out there and look people in the eye and be like, oh."
Just jacket. It's like NBA Jam out there. People don't want to deal with anything.
You could just legit shove people to the ground and take the ball. Yeah, maybe everyone would just swallow the whistle. Because they already get intimidated by home crowds, so I could only imagine what public scrutiny and like Twitter, being just blasted on Twitter by people who actually knew their name for once.
And then God forbid one of the refs, he stutters or something during a post. Oh, God.
Yeah. Okay, so that's maybe not the best idea. I'm just throwing it out there, though. It's the thought. I mean, there might be something
I like where your head's at, man. Hey, you're trying to get us better, and I think I appreciate that. I think we all do. Now, speaking of getting pissed and rioting, Arizona, I get this. They rioted. They lost. They were upset.
Can you explain to me what happened exactly?
Well, apparently, 15 people got arrested as just Arizona students just piled out of bars in Tempe, Arizona, and just started kind of going nuts. Apparently, 12 people or several dozens of students got shot with beanbags. I guess they have those guns that shoot beanbags that just, I'm sure, hurt like hell.
Yeah.
And they used pepper spray and pepper canisters and pepper balls. I don't even know what that is. It sounds, it might be pretty tasty. They threw those in the air to break up the crowd. It doesn't seem like anything was crazy damage, but it was an unlawful assembly, and so they kind of got in on them. 15 people ended up getting arrested. I believe 14 of those were released like the next morning. So it was a mini riot. But I guess my point is that I kind of understand why those happened. Now, some of those footages was hilarious. They had one dude who was just walked up. He was just kind of like, you ever see Hangover? And Zach Galifianakis gets shot by the taser, and he like continues to walk forward like while he's being tased to the kid. There was this one point where this guy had his arms out, and the police were just shooting him with beanbags, and he was just unfazed as he was just walking into the police like a line.
That's awesome.
And of course, he got tackled and like totally arrested, and some kids got beat. But I was saying I kind of get when that happens. I never get this didn't really happen because even though I saw in Madison, Wisconsin, their State Street was just flooded. Like they were just partying hard, And it was kind of like the same thing, but on a happier mood in Madison. But every once in a while, we get into these situations where somebody will riot after a win.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers, like we do that in LA sometimes. Like the Lakers win and then everyone's rioting. It's like, what is going on? I don't get that.
Well, people in LA just miss the riots. So they just like to riot, and they're nostalgic for riot. No, actually.
We just need it. They got to get it out of their system. Every so often, we need the Kings to win so they can go out and just shake
just for
cars.
old time's sake, No, that was not. That's
and I don't even know why I'm asking you, because I know you're not going to go out and tip cars over. But I'm just saying, I never get that emotion of where it's like,
I know.
Let's go tip stuff over.
It's mob mentality, and it's just people who are drunk. I don't know why. Yeah, it's totally nonsensical that you would want to destroy something after something good happened.
Yeah,
you're like, oh yeah, we just won the Stanley Cup. Hey, let's go flip over that guy's Corolla. Like what? Why? Like what did that guy do to you? It's not like he has like the team you were playing. It's not like he has like a Buffalo Sabres Corolla. It's just like a Corolla.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I was at least pleasantly surprised. It was like, oh yeah, a riot on a team that lost. I feel like that's kind of, we don't do that enough.
Anger.
I feel like we don't do that enough these days. I think we need a little bit more, rioting when we lose.
I wish we could riot over things that mattered a little bit more. Like I wish they had been rioting over maybe like their student loans or something. Not like
maybe they were. Maybe it was just a coincidence.
Yeah, maybe it was just everything had built to that moment, and then that one guy walking into the front lines, he was like $10,000 in debt, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He had nothing to lose.
Just going crazy. The last story here on basketball, I had a point on this. The Dayton coach, oh God, I didn't write his name down. Do you know what his name is?
Archie Miller.
Thank God. That's professional reporting right there, everybody. The Dayton coach, Archie Miller. I heard he's got some, there's been some interest for him in his job, like this offseason might include some phone calls to maybe some bigger programs because of the success. I presume because of the success that he had in the tournament. Now, I don't know if Archie Miller's a great coach or not. He did have a decent run here. I mean, he took a 11 seed Dayton all the way to the Elite Eight when they just a little overmatched when they played Florida.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I guess the point that I had here is, are people. We all know that we're desperate to win. In college and in professionals, everyone is desperate to win games. And I don't know if they've been looking at this guy's body of work, but this is the first time I've ever heard of this guy. And now he's getting offers from big programs just because of his run in the I'm just guessing because of the run that he just had in the NCAA tournament. Is that appropriate to go off of somebody who had a decent little run in the NCAA tournament to all of a sudden say, now that's our guy? Now, maybe they're seeing something. It's not that I didn't see anything. It's just that I would be a little bit hesitant if what I was basing my new hire offer was a couple of nice games in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this case is a little bit different. The best example would be the guy, I forgot his name, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but like the guy who coached Florida Gulf Coast last year, who got swept away to a better job, like just because he won a few games. I think, considering the tournament is so random, I think it's kind of short-sighted to just be like, oh, this guy did pretty good in the tournament once. Like, just because anything can happen. Like, I don't think that necessarily speaks to, having like the ability to create a great program.
I agree.
Like, in this case, Archie Miller is brothers with Sean Miller, who is the coach of Arizona, and who has, proven he can do it at a high level and have a legit program. And I think there is something to that. They both come from the same background, obviously, because they came from the same uterus. So I think there is some history to that would suggest that he could do it on another level. So I think this one is a kind of not the perfect example for that. But yeah. I do think it is. Yeah. I do agree with you. I think it is. I think it's a little, like I said, short-sighted to just think that because somebody wins a few tournament games, they can come to your program and save it.
We kind of see this in more than one area in sports. Sometimes we see it with like a quarterback who wins a playoff game, or a head coach that turns, maybe does something in the first year. Everyone is so desperate to win. They're just saying, well, if he did it that time, he can do it again. And I guess I would just caution people and just saying, I don't know, maybe we ought to look a little bit more closely at things. Now,
I agree. It's like Charlie Weiss when he went like 10-2 at Notre Dame and they gave him a 10-year extension. It's first year. It's like, okay, settle down. It's like, let's see a little bit more.
I'm excited you brought that up. Later in the show, I want to talk about some really bad contracts. That'll be coming up as well. But now, moving on, here's another thing I wanted to talk about: this Northwestern football situation with the players unionizing. That story happened last Thursday. The Chicago district of the National Labor Relations Board ruled that Northwestern football players qualify as employees, and they are allowed to unionize. I thought that of course that's a game changer. I mean, that is a big one. Now, of course, it is going to be appealed to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah.
By everyone, by the Northwestern and the NCAA, and pretty much anyone who is benefiting off of these guys is going to die trying to put this to an end. So we'll see if it ends up holding up. But assuming that it does, a lot of things change. This week, Northwestern is going to be going to Washington, or the
players.
Yeah, well, the players and the representatives are going to be going to Washington, D.C. to kind of straighten their side of the case out to the NLRB. And so that has kind of been the new developments and what is going to be going on with that. But what this does is I'm a little bit concerned. Now, you've got to be happy as all can be, right, on this situation. You've got Northwestern. This is only going to domino. If this does hold up, then everybody's going to unionize.
So the crux of this argument is basically they're saying it would be one thing if you were saying, because, okay, before scholarships were ever offered, student athletes had to go to school and pay tuition. It was purely a extracurricular endeavor to be a student athlete. You were on the football team or you were on the track team, but you were just a student. You were paying to go there. There was zero compensation whatsoever. The argument here is that because you're offering them scholarships, which is a form of compensation, you should offer them other things that come with that. Therefore makes them a form of an employee because they're being paid to do a certain thing, and they should have certain liability protection against, just like any other employee would. So, like if a player breaks his leg while playing football for the school that gave him a scholarship, that school should pay for his medical bills.
Yes.
And, some of that stuff I think is only fair. I think we should be working toward a system that allows, that keeps from these student athletes, some of whom don't have the money to be going to these universities, especially a place like Northwestern, which is an expensive school, that they're not just hung out to dry if something bad happens to them.
I completely agree. When I saw that, I was like kind of pumped up. It's like, yeah, that's the good side. When I'm thinking of Yeah, there's no. Yeah, if some kid's playing football and he shatters his, tibia or whatever, fibula,
Those, I think
funny
those are
bone,
both, I think
whatever
those
it
are
is,
both
you don't
bones.
want to, you don't whatever something you don't want to shatter.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I think that seems very appropriate that all of his medical bills get paid up. Has that not been the case?
No.
Oh, you just got to foot your own bill. Yeah, you just go bust your skull, like have fun. We'll see ya.
Pretty much.
Gets carted off the field. Well, I guess in that case, this seems very appropriate that their medical bills all get paid for, and everything associated with college injuries. If they have long sustaining injuries from a concussion, I think the school needs to pay that. All the way down the road. That all seems very appropriate. The one thing that scares me in this whole unionization problem is now all of a sudden, let's say you get comfortable, everyone gets settled in, they're happy with their scholarships, they're happy with their medical bills, like they seem to be happy. What stops them in a couple of years from just saying, we're just going to go on strike because of that, because we're not getting money? It just seems like all of this is just got hardcore momentum headed downhill to paying college athletes, just straight up.
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm like super sensitive and concerned about that. I think that college football could be in real danger if they start paying them.
Well, I'll be okay with it. I don't think if the court rules or finds that a scholarship is an appropriate compensation, as long as they're taking care of some of this other stuff, I will feel better about it at least. And the other thing that we could talked about this a little bit. I don't think on the podcast, but I think at just another moment. But I think that just allowing certain players also to sign endorsement deals. So treat it as a situation like the Olympics. Like if you're a big college star, if you're Johnny Manziel or you're Jabari Parker, and people want to endorse you, and you want to be in, we should just let those people be paid for an image that they created. And I think that would be another way of compensating the star athletes, because really the ones that really push paper through the door are your stars, your Johnny Manziels, who people want to buy that guy's jersey. So maybe something like that where we could combine a few different things, and we wouldn't have to go to a system where we straight up just pay everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that a lot, and I'm sure that eventually it's going to get that way.
Sorry.
No, I was going to move on to saying about the striking. I think that it'll eventually go with players, but let's say that some school just doesn't have it right there's something a little bit off. I just got a feeling that because in college now, like the NFLPA or like the Major League Baseball Players Association, seems like things have evened out a little bit more, and they're able, striking is kind of rare. But here at the jumpstart juncture of unionizing in college sports, I could really see a lot of herky-jerky strikes going on all the time, because brand new systems are going to have to be in place maybe instantly. And they don't have the funds, they don't have the programs, they don't have the employees, or they're just greedy, whatever the situation is going to be. It's just going to be strike after strike after strike. I really hope that's not the case. I'd like to think not. But, it's not necessarily the players going, let's strike, yeah. It's going to be the guys that are, ahead. They have, the presidents of the University of Texas at Austin Players Association. They'll have a guy there telling all the players, you're all going to go on strike because you need this and this and this. And they're going to say, okay.
Well, ideally, we would get all the college athletes to enter into one body, like the College Athlete Association or something like that. So it could be, once all college athletes sign a collective bargaining agreement, then it moves on to some extended period of time. It wouldn't be any different, I don't think, than the NBA or the NFL, that once the deal is up, then you have another negotiation, like a collective bargaining.
In 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But if they do it per school, we could have, because right now it's just Northwestern trying to unionize under the Chicago union board. I don't know enough exact about it, but they're trying to unionize within the standards of the city of Chicago, which are already set up. And basically, if it was different schools, you might have a weird situation where it's Texas is on strike. They're not playing college football this year, which would be weird.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want each school doing their own thing, because then again, it could lead to like what you're talking about, where one school's negotiated a better collective bargaining agreement than another one, and so a lot of players want to go there because they get paid more.
Yeah, and I just it just seems like we're about ready to go someplace in college sports with this. I mean, with this case, if it holds up, like I say, it could get knocked all the way down, and we could be right back to where we are now. But it just seems like we're about ready to go into a very unfamiliar place, and I'm a little scared. I just think that what we've got going here could be in jeopardy.
Well, it's going to be different, and it is a can of worms. Like, there's a lot of stuff to it. It's a bit of a hullabaloo, you might say. But no, I mean, there's a lot to it. But I mean, I think the reality is it's something that we have to face. We can't just sweep it under the rug anymore.
You know, and maybe you're right. You know, maybe justice is more important than my own self-benefit.
Yeah,
but you know, I love college athletics so much, and you know, I just don't want to see it go. You know, it's like taxes or something. It's like, yeah, we got to do them. It's zero fun, but at the same time, you know,
yeah,
it's just something that needs to happen. And maybe that's what we're just inevitably need to pay these guys and just have a compensated game for it. You know, just or compromised game. It's just going to be
it's not
what it was. It probably won't be as entertaining. You know, the bigger schools will just dominate. You know, and
I think it'll be more similar than you think.
It's in a depressing mood.
No.
I hope you're right. The last thing I want to see is somebody who doesn't want to go play their football game. They don't come out of the locker room because they didn't they didn't do something right.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit concerned about that. I'm probably being over dramatic, you know, because I'm not getting my way. So, you know, maybe I'm just expecting the worst. I'm sure, like most things, it's never as good as you think it is, and it's never as bad as you think it is. So I'm sure that they'll figure it out, and it probably won't be that much different. But like I say, I'm a little nerved out.
Well, somebody expecting the worst isn't that surprising when they're wearing a Kansas City Royals hat and shirt.
Hey, man. We're going to talk about them later. I'm totally pumped. I'm ready.
You guys, this is the year you guys win the World Series, right?
This is the year. If it's not this year, then it's never. Now, one thing that I found interesting, back to this Northwestern thing, was in the days before the decision, of course, ABC News and the Washington Post had a poll that found 47% of Americans supported the idea of unionizing for college athletes. 47 opposed it. I thought that was kind of interesting. I would have said, but at the same time, that seems about right to me.
I think a lot of people buy into the purity bullshit nonsense.
Well, I don't think a lot of people think like you. I don't think that they're like, oh, it's so pure. It's the purity of college athletics. No, I don't think that's their point. I think they're kind of like me, and I think that maybe. they see what they're getting, and they feel like most of us, that even though it's probably not, they're not getting the exact amount that they're earning. You know, it's like it is one-sided. At the same time, they are getting a pretty good gig. Most of the time, college tuitions are racked up into six figures, you know, over a 4-year span of living situations. They do get a stipend. It's not very much, but they do get enough money to live. Like they get enough to buy food, they get enough to pay rent if they live out of dorms. I mean, they can live, I wouldn't say comfortably, because they're not able to like go buy a bunch of cool stuff, but they are able to you can get by on their stipend that they make. So they get the tuition. If they choose to stay in a room or they live off campus, they can all do that for a reasonable rate. And that seems fair to most people.
It's just weird to me that people always side with there are a group of people who side against the players versus the owners, or in this case the NCAA, which has a bunch of really rich, you know, university heads and athletic directors and all these different people, versus the kids, because it's fair, but it's not. It's a pretty good deal, but it's not fair. It's like when people are like, why won't the NBA players just play? They make millions of dollars. It's like, yeah, but they're going against the owners who have billions of dollars. So it's like, you know, like, let's keep it in perspective here. Like, they're the ones actually providing the product. So I think, you know, on some level, it's just interesting to me. It's like the guy who makes $25,000 a year and then votes Republican. He's like, no taxes. It's like, no, that's not the taxes. That doesn't affect you. It's like, it just seems I don't know. I think that the players are the people who should be sided with in this always.
That makes sense.
They're the little guy, Like that's the side you should be
I
fighting
don't think
on.
people are going, what would be great is if we gave all the money to the people in the NCAA and then we just didn't give any to the kids.
I know, but by sweeping it under the rug, it's not really.
But I think it's more of a self-interest thing. Like when I think about myself, when I think about this issue, what I'm not thinking about is let's make all the owners make a lot more money. What I'm thinking of is I don't want these guys to get paid and decide they need to go somewhere else because schools can offer them different amounts of money.
But
that is what I think people are. They're afraid of the game changing because ultimately people are really afraid of change.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's going to happen if you start having to pay these guys. And I think that's what they're concerned about.
I guess that's fair. But I think, when I was in school, Cedric Benson used to drive around in an Escalade. I don't think he bought that for himself. The big schools are paying players already. So we might as well get it out in the open and at least be fair about it. I think the big schools will still dominate because they have the most money, but that's the way it's always been anyway. I don't think it'll change that much, especially for a school like you where you have, Bill Snyder, doing his weird Bill Snyder-y things.
Yeah, but I don't like to depend on that because Bill Snyder is 100 years old, and one of these days he's not going to be around. And the system that we know, which it could be altered by the fact, when you can openly pay players, that's a lot different than being able to pay players under the rug. Now, I do under the table, under the rug. You said sweep it under the rug.
Yeah,
okay.
under the table is.
But being able to pay people under the table, I think it's just. I think it would change the dynamic if you can openly advertise we can give you this amount. I think it would change it more than people think. Because I've heard that argument a lot.
Yeah.
People say, they're already paying them, and I get that. But I think that recruiting would change even more.
But it might change for the better too. It might. You never know.
Yeah, maybe a bunch of people will get born that don't want money. Maybe that'll happen. That'll be great. Now, I thought one thing that I did find was interesting about the poll, the strongest support for players being able to unionize was among minorities and people younger than 40. Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me. But the least support was among white women.
Weird. I don't even know what to make of that.
I don't know. I saw that and I went, I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. White chicks don't want dudes.
Do you think it has something to do with Title IX? It would be less money for Title IX if they had to, if football programs had to spend more money compensating their players.
Yeah, that's less for everyone else.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. That's interesting.
I have no idea what that means.
I never knew white women over 40.
It doesn't say their age. It just says the least support because it says the most support was among minorities and people younger than 40.
Okay.
The most. And then the least support was among white women.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and I stopped just like you, and I go, huh.
Yeah.
That is something. I don't know what that means, but it is something. So I guess the white chicks don't want unionization of college athletes either.
What's their deal?
Support was also stronger among Democrats than Republicans, and that makes all the sense in the world. Mm-hmm. I totally get that. I don't know. Maybe I'm swinging more right, Doug. And honest to God, this like whole college talk that we've had over. It seems like we talk about this every week now, but it seems like I've almost swung more from the left to the right, just in everything.
Yeah.
Now that I've been able to say, you know what, I'm selfish, and I just which is one thing that it seems like a lot of people from the right don't like to admit.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's honest.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like, you know what? I'm selfish. I want everything. I want my team to be the best. I want everything for me, and because that's really the only thing I can vote for myself. So why shouldn't I?
Yeah, let's just be honest about it.
Yeah. Now it's time to move on, baby, to what I've been wanting to talk about. I seriously, it's like really big deal to me. It is opening day of Major League freaking baseball, and I know for some people, I think even the casual fan can say, you know what, I can get up for this. This is kind of neat. I compare opening day to baseball almost like a big ship. It's got like a bon voyage.
Okay.
We smash the champagne bottle against the thing. Everyone's waving. The chicks are all taking their bras off, and like everybody's, and then the boat leaves.
What kind of boat What kind of boats
Dude,
are you?
It's a party boat, man. But anyways, and then the boat leaves, and everyone waves goodbye to it, and then we don't hear from it for a really long time. And then it sails across a really long ocean until it's greeted at the other side with a bunch of other fans, which is the postseason when baseball comes back.
Okay.
But right now is when we send it off and we celebrate the game, and I really enjoy it. It's a day everyone gets pumped for. Every seat will be packed in every stadium today.
And then, so like, in 2 months it'll just be drifting pointlessly in the Pacific Ocean.
Well, not pointlessly. It's taking it slow, steady approach. And the hardcore baseball fans like myself are still going to enjoy it the whole time. I mean, I'll be into it. But for the casual fan, I think this is a time that you could get into it, at least for this week, because you get opening day today and then a couple games, and then it's the other, the teams that have all started on the road, then those teams get their opening weekend. So all their stadiums are going to be filled on Friday.
Yeah.
So this week is kind of an exciting week, I think, for baseball, and I'm looking forward to it.
I like that metaphor. For me, I would just have one tweak where the ship leaving would be the Titanic.
Yeah, and that's why I hate you.
No, that's a good metaphor. I like that. Okay, I kind of enjoy opening day. I don't want it to be a national holiday, but
oh yeah, you do.
Well, I mean, I guess it would. Yeah,
dude. If anything was a national holiday, you have to be stoked about it.
Today's a state holiday. Today's Cesar Chavez Day.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What is today? The 31st?
Yeah.
What is this, his birthday, or did he die on this day? Like, what's wrong with him?
I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it's certain state institutions get today off.
Well, I'm not a part of that.
Shout out to migrant farm workers.
Yeah, man, Cesar Chavez Day. You can just call it whatever. I don't care what day it is. As long as it's a national holiday, I'm totally good with that.
Yeah.
But, and so today I'm going to watch my Royals. They're going to be on in 57 minutes.
Okay.
And I'll be ready for it. It'll be James Shields, Justin Verlander in Detroit today.
I inadvertently watched some of the Dodgers game yesterday.
Inadvertently?
Yeah. It was on while at a place
Yeah.
where I was at, so I was looking at it.
I was actually really bummed out I didn't get to watch it. But today I'm going to watch it. Doing fantasy draft tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know you didn't want to be a part of it, which really bummed me out. But I'm not going to. You got to do you, man. If you don't want to play, you don't want to play. And I know it's totally nerdy, and so I don't want to hear you say, "Oh, it's nerdy," because you did fantasy football.
Yeah, no, I don't hate on it for that.
Okay.
I just like fantasy baseball. From what I understand, is a huge time commitment.
I don't want to talk a ton about fantasy, but I think it's probably I would say the exact same, maybe less than football.
Oh, okay.
I played it once or twice before, and it's surprising because they play every day. You think you got to go and do everything, but you almost kind of let them go a little bit more than football, where it's like you have to make more rash decisions.
All right. So what's exciting to you about opening day this year?
Opening day is exciting for me. First off, because I love baseball and I like to watch it, and it's fun, and I enjoy it. And it's a little bit different because they're playing every day. Now, while that seems like it's a drone, and I think a lot of people feel that way, which is why baseball has kind of declined in numbers, there is that hardcore fan that just loves it. Like the fact that there is something every single day for you. These guys are going to be around all the time. It is like I enjoy that. Now, I know I'm slightly in the minority, but maybe I've got a little bit of hipster in me where the fact that everyone's got their head up the NFL's butt has made me almost love baseball more.
Okay. You're going a little contrarian on it.
A little. It's almost like, you know what? You guys are all running over there and you can't talk about anything but NFL Live all day long. It's like, hey, you know what? There are other great things too. And so I almost get really attached. And that might contribute to the fact of why I'm really love MLS, or I love the U.S. national team, or I love college football or college basketball.
MLS,
NBA now more. It's just anything but the NFL. I'm almost kind of getting hey, come on, NFL, let's hang out, let's chill out a little bit.
MLS is a big hipster sport.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. And
soccer in general, I think, is the sport because you could it's kind of obscure knowledge. Yeah. It makes you seem kind of worldly and smart.
Yes, it is very hipster. A lot of the crowd is very. You couldn't have a coherent conversation about the baseball team when you go to the MLS. Go to an MLS game.
Yeah.
But if you go to an NFL game or you go to a Major League Baseball game, anybody could talk about any of the sports.
Have you ever noticed how soccer fans are not very they're kind of elitist too?
Yeah,
that's the other hipster element about it. It's if you don't know
suck.
anything about soccer, they're not very welcoming about teaching new people new things.
Yeah, I'm not into them.
Baseball can kind of be like that too, with the kind of sabermetric-y people who are that there's only one right way to talk about certain things. But I noticed when I was trying to get into World Cup a little bit, certain people who know a lot about soccer are not very nice about it always.
It's unfortunate. But no, I agree. I had this kind of running theory saying soccer fans are different than everybody else.
What do you think it is about people that where like if you have something that you love, if you really love MLS or you really love soccer, wouldn't you think you would want to share it with people? Like, I think we kind of talked about this last week with like bands and stuff, but it's like, it's weird that people have this urge, like they have something they really love, but they don't want anybody else to know about it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Now, we all agree that is the case, but I really don't understand because as a baseball fan, like I feel like I'm constantly now having to defend baseball. Yeah. Everyone is just always on its case all the time, and it's like starting to get at me a little bit. It's like, I don't know what your problem is. Why can't you just like it for what it is and like other stuff too? You don't have to like exclusively one thing or the other. Why can't you find something that you enjoy and dig it?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got to do this constant campaign of saying, no, but you don't understand. And I'm like, it's kind of getting old, but it's like, hey, people like what they like, and I like football too. I don't want to sit here and act like I don't. It's just, I think this bit of me is like when everyone's sitting over there talking about football all the time, and I see Teddy Bruschi on ESPN every single day.
Yeah.
It's just like, isn't this boring to anybody? That we're not even close to anything, and we have to talk about this, which is not even close to the case with any of the other sports.
Yeah,
and I think because of that, it's like, you know what, I like baseball, but I always have liked baseball, and today I really get to be loud and proud with it. Now, I want to make my picks. Do you want to make picks too?
I don't think anybody's
you know what, I'm
going to
do it
my picks
because I wanted to do it because I care.
Okay.
So here's what I got. I'm just going to make it pretty quick and easy. The AL East, like the Rays,
okay.
They've won 90-plus games in the last 5 seasons. Now, everyone thinks of the Rays. I feel like the Rays it's almost taken them 5 seasons of 90-plus wins to get out of that connotation that they're a doormat because they're a small market team. No one shows up to the games, despite the fact that they're awesome.
Well, have you ever looked at Tropicana Field?
It looks terrible on
I would
TV.
Never want to go there.
It's terrible.
I wouldn't want to spend a single minute in that place.
Central, I got the Tigers just because I know everyone listening to this podcast, hey, we are the Royals, all right? So let's I want to just chill on them for just a minute, but I got the Tigers. They've got freaking Justin Verlander, two-eyed Max Scherzer, and freaking Miguel Cabrera, all right? You put those 3 players on the Astros, and you're talking about a playoff team.
Okay.
The West, I like the Angels. That's a crazy pick. I think a lot of people think the A's are going to take it, but I just got a feeling.
What about the Rangers,
they spend all that money. They got Mike Trout. Albert Pujols is still awesome, despite the fact that he is not worth the money that he's being paid. He's still a great player.
Didn't they add somebody to the rotation too? Or no?
Oh no, maybe. I mean,
they should be better. I mean, they
underachieved last year big time. The wild cards, the number 1 wild card, I got the A's.
Okay.
Number 2, I got the Royals, baby.
Oh,
I think 90 wins going to get him in. I think it's going to get him in. Buster Olney, Carl Ravitch, they both have the Royals in. Carl Ravitch has got the Royals, I think, winning the Central.
Wow.
I mean, people really think. I mean, this isn't like a hopeless Royal optimism that
okay.
You're not accustomed to because you haven't known a lot of Royals people for a long time. But we all kind of have this. It's this year. We're all. We all want to make ourselves feel better. But the fact of the matter is that this year actually is a year. We went all chips in. Last year, Forbes reported we were $6.5 million in the hole. We lost money last year.
Nice.
Our payroll's around $90 million, which is I think it's legitimately $15 million too high to make money.
So your owner is like notoriously stingy, right?
We thought he had been until those numbers came out, and it's like, oh.
Well, maybe he's tired of losing.
$70 million is like actually probably where we need to be because we lost money.
Well, Donald Sterling had a change of heart where he never spent anything, and then all of a sudden now Clippers have one of the highest payrolls in the NBA. So maybe it's possible.
It's the product. If the product produces, especially if they get out of the gate quick, it's just going to steamroll. The momentum is there. The optimism in Kansas City has never been as high as it is right now. I know it. It's
like in the city's history.
It legitimately feels this is the best team we've put on the field since Game 7 in the 1985 World Series. This is our best team. James Shields is a free agent after this year. If they don't get it done now, then it might not be ever. This is it for us. We have to do it right now. But the expectations are high, and we know the team is good. I think they're going to make it.
Okay.
I think 90 wins for the Royals.
Okay.
The NL East, I like the Nationals. That division is abysmal. The Braves are decent, but I really like the Nationals. Central Cardinals, because I'm not going to bet against them ever.
That's too
until
smart.
they lose.
Yeah, they're in the World Series
hate
like
them
every year.
so much, but what are you going to do? Like, you have to pick them. Who else is going to stop them?
Whoever runs that organization, you hear everything about Billy Beane. Who's that dude? The Royals are. I mean, the Cardinals are in the. They're in the World Series like every year, and they have no good players.
That's not true at all. First, second, and their payroll's actually pretty high. They're usually up in the top 10 every year.
I feel like after Albert Pujols, like when he
That
was on
was
the
smart.
teams,
That was totally smart.
it was
Getting rid
smart.
of him.
They don't get credit for that, but I mean, it's just also like you look at their lineup, and you're like, who are these guys? With the exception of Chris Carpenter, who's been good for a long time.
Yeah, and
They have nobody. Like you're just like it's just some scrub, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna hit a
and Holiday and
Holiday's
and Yadier Molina. I mean, that dude's just a perennial freaking Gold Glove, just a stud.
But they snatched Holiday off like the scrap heap. I feel like, didn't they?
Dude rakes, man.
He does. He's good. That guy's a beast. That guy is like farm strong. Like he looks like he's just like he's like an old school baseball player. Like just
Yeah, I wish
corn-fed.
he had like the curly tipped mustache and like the striped socks. And they have another guy that looks like that, but I wish he really was like that guy.
Yeah, he looks like an.
Looks like there's that old baseball poem, Casey at the Bat.
Yeah.
Like, his shoulders are like the size of a freaking, redwood, and his like feet are like so tiny, and he's got that bat. That's great. West, I got the Dodgers. they can't lose. With that
They better
payroll,
not.
it would be an absolute embarrassment if they don't win that division.
They have every player.
Ever. They should
in
be
the
in
league.
great shape.
Okay.
I got the wild card picks. I got the Giants. They got a really good rotation. Madison Bumgarner, Matt Cain, Tim Hudson, Tim Lincecum, and Ryan Vogelsong. It's like, I don't know what happened last year, but I like them back. And is it just me, or does every freaking game in that stadium look awesome on TV?
Yeah, I love that stadium.
It just looks so cool. On the flip side, the Rays is like the exact opposite. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is fun when you're watching a game with the Rays.
What
But it's
what was Tropicana Field?
Well, they needed something to keep the rain off their head, so they needed a dome. And I guess which domes look terrible. Baseball is really bad in a dome.
It is.
It's
Why not a
good.
retractable? Tropicana Field's old. They just put the team in there, right? Was it a football stadium?
I don't even know.
It's horrible
It's
looking.
it's bad. I think they built it.
It's
for 'em.
also got that weird artificial lighting where it looks like you're playing in like a CVS.
Every game looks like if it's noon for some reason.
It looks like it's a night.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
fluorescent.
stupid, but I feel like not other domes don't. It just doesn't have that vibe. It's like so depressing.
It
in
looks
there.
like you're playing in a grocery store.
Yeah. So that's my, there's my spiel. I like the World Series. Who do I like?
What about the Red Sox, man? So what happened to them?
Hey, they're a great team, but I like I say, A's and the Royals, man. Yeah, I got the Rays winning that division.
Didn't the Red Sox win like 100 games last year?
They had a great year.
Did they lose anybody?
They had a great year. They did lose.
Oh, they lost.
They lost their boy
Ellsbury, right?
Yeah, Ellsbury. They're going to be good, but I thought that they overachieved last year.
Okay.
Like I said, hey, there's some great teams.
So,
what about the Rangers? What about the Orioles? There are some really good teams. But two get to make it, and I think the A's and the Royals, are the team who's going to do it.
Well, okay.
Now the World Series, I got the Dodgers in there, and I got the
Rays. No, I wouldn't pick them because I think that's a tough division to win. Just odds. I would pick somebody out of Central.
A's.
Tigers?
I'm going to say the A's, Dodgers,
Okay. I like
California series, and I'm going to say the Dodgers are going to win it all.
that. Okay.
There it is. There you go. There's my picks. Hope you're happy.
I think that's about it, too.
About it for what? The podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I also want... just one more thing. I got
Okay.
one more thing that I wanted to add. Talking about baseball, is Miguel Cabrera's new contract.
Oh, okay.
When I saw this, he got an 8-year extension for $248 million. So he's going to be a total of 10-year, $292 million through 2023. He'll be 41 when that contract is up. My point is, have we learned? Has anybody learned anything? Has anybody paid attention and looked around what you give a 30-some-year-old slugger when you give him that amount of money? Miguel Cabrera isn't exactly.
Isn't he an alcoholic, too?
I have no idea.
Like, doesn't he have, like,
Is that
severe...
defamatory? Are you going to be sued now?
Probably. I know Miguel Cabrera probably listens to this podcast.
Yeah, I think he does, actually. I think he's listening to the show right now.
Didn't he have like a lot of drinking problems? He was getting a bunch of DUIs.
I don't know.
Like,
he is overweight.
Rehab.
I mean, well, I would say overweight, but what does he weigh? 260 pounds? Is this what it says here?
He's a big guy.
I'm just saying, you saw what happened to Albert Pujols, and I thought it was interesting. I saw this stat when they showed they gave 10 players that are similar to him using this baseball reference.com kind of study. They show you players like who your wheelhouse is or who your peers group is. And for him, his peer group is Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, King Griffey Jr., Mel Ott, Al Kaline, Mickey Mantle, Duke Snyder, Andrew Jones, and Juan Gonzalez. Those are like the 10 guys closest to what Miguel Cabrera has done in his career. And then it shows you what they've done when it goes to the Triple Crown stats, which is home runs, RBIs, and batting average through the last 10 years of their career?
Okay.
Or in their 30s, what they've done since they were 30 years old. And all these guys have some pretty silly numbers. I mean, Miguel Cabrera is going to be getting paid about $29 million a year, which is the second most, I believe, in baseball history behind Clayton Kershaw, who got it this year, who, in my opinion, is worth every penny because he's also a starting pitcher, which I value.
He's also like 24.
Especially in this post. He's 24 years old. He's got 2 Cy Youngs. I mean, give that guy some scratch. His is only for 5 years anyways. But that's a decent deal. But all these guys, you look at these numbers, you divide every number by 8. So now Hank Aaron had 313 home runs divided by 8. That's still really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. But the rest of these guys, you're talking about Juan Gonzalez in his last 8 years had 29 home runs. Andrew Jones had 46 home runs. Duke Snyder, I don't know who that is, 53 home runs. Mickey Mantle had 82 divided by 8. You're talking about 10 home runs a year. You're paying $30 million.
To a guy who projects out.
$10 million? You could go pay a guy, you could get a guy off the minor leagues that could hit 200 home runs. These batting averages, no one's hitting over 300 past their careers. And and no one besides Hank Aaron who has awesome. I mean, he's like the only guy in the history of ever who has had like a great 30s.
Yeah, he was an anomaly. He basically hit 30 home runs for his entire life.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. And the guy was great forever until he decided to quit. But for the rest of these guys, like King Griffey Jr., he hit about 20 home runs a year. Like I say, you can go get a guy for cheap that does this, that hits 257 and has 20 home runs.
Well,
there's a lot of guys in the minors you could give to a $800K contract.
As a Rangers fan, I saw the tail end of both Juan Gonzalez and Andrew Jones's careers, and it was not pretty.
It was not worth $30 million. Is that what you're saying?
It was horrible.
So I guess the point is with Albert Pujols and with all of these bad contracts, it also it seems senseless, and not only that, but it hurts everybody else because now the market has completely changed. Whenever these groundbreaking contracts come through, it just makes the smaller teams. It drives everybody crazy because now it just drives the price up for really no reason because they had Miguel Cabrera under control for 2 more years.
Yeah, and I would let that run.
Why didn't you let that run out till he was 33 years old and let him go someplace else? That's what a good. I wouldn't say good franchise because the Tigers are good. They're awesome all the time.
But they've also handed out some bad contracts.
They have.
One of which they possibly unloaded on the Rangers this year.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I think, I would like to see. I don't know if it affects everybody because it kind of there's only like a few handful of teams that can really give this money out right now.
Well, true, but even the mediocre players, they're still their prices. Everyone's going to raise up.
Yeah. Did you know that Jason Worth gets paid more money per year than LeBron James?
No. I'm just looking here. I printed up a bunch of the contracts. These are I categorized them in.
There are people in baseball who are like mid-level, like kind of. I mean, they're good players, but they're not that good. Who make more than like the best NBA player of the last 20 years.
That's because of no cap. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why that is.
But I mean, I'm agreeing with you. Like you're right. It raises the level for people who don't deserve it.
And it sucks, And like obviously, I would be totally in favor for a baseball salary cap. I don't know I don't know if they'll ever do that. Probably not. because we got this far without it. They probably won't get it anymore, but it's just it's getting outrageous. And it's the fact of the matter is, it's like that's why the Royals window is so short. And it's like the pressure to win is right now, because if you don't, you got a problem, because your ace is going to be gone next year, because we can't afford James Shields after this year. I mean, it's no way after what these contracts are about, and now knowing that the Royals really do cut off at about 75. It's like all these players. And the A's are the same way, although the A's just are so good. Billy Beane just knows how to draft and like get a team together for the cheap. And it works, but it's like but he's also the smartest guy ever. And it's like it takes the smartest baseball mind in the history of ever to compete on a budget. And that just seems a little unfair, that it's like, yeah, the A's get one, but it's like everybody else kind of gets screwed. Well, the Rays too. They're great too.
Yeah.
But, what are you going to do? I was a little outraged to see it, but nothing I can do about it now. But it is opening day, and everyone's got a chance today.
Well, it'll probably end up hurting them in the end. So
it probably will. So I guess maybe that also maybe helps, just seeing a deteriorated player where they got all that money tied up in. They might not be able to do other moves.
Yeah,
it could end up being a good deal for the rest of the teams in the AL Central.
Yeah.
Well, that's the podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy opening day.
I think I did really good in this podcast, considering 5 minutes after it started, I really had to poop.
Oh, hey, man.
So I think this is one of my best performances.
Hey, I don't know what to say.
No, there's not really.
I'm glad you toughed it out.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we made it this far, and I cannot wait. Opening day starts in 30 minutes.
All right.
There's like 3 or 4 games on at 10 a.m., so I can't wait. But enjoy the day, everyone. I hope you have a good opening day and a good rest of the week. And we will see you next week, maybe at this time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Bye.